So Piers Morgan had Alex Jones on the pod or his little, talk, whatever. And I'm curious just to see it. Piers Morgan challenges Alex Jones. It's nonsense. The full debate. I'm surprised that he's talking about Alex Jones. I'm honestly surprised. But let's see. Let's see what we got. This is only a couple days old. Let's get it going.
Now, that doesn't mean that anything goes. Free speech has its limits. Even in America, with its fabled First Amendment, there are limits. You can't famously run into a theater in America and shout fire and create a
yeah, sure. It's like freedom of speech unless it threatens somebody else in some capacity, right?
stampede where people might die. So there are limits to free speech all around the world. But my guest tonight, he tests free speech to, I would argue, its breaking point. His name is Alex Jones. He's a hugely influential, to many people, a very dangerous conspiracy theorist who's made himself hugely rich peddling a lot of lies. This is what happened when we met last, debating gun laws a decade ago on CNN.
How many gun murders were there in...
I think he said dongles. I'm like, what's a dongle? What are you talking about?
How many great white sharks kill people every year, but they're scared to swim? And I'm here to tell you, 1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms, which you've got...
1776 is like it's crazy. It's like his active call to violence. It's actually nuts. Okay. Interesting. Let's keep going.
Hordes of people burning down cities and beating old women's brains out every day.
Let's try again. How many gun murders were there?
Oh, you're gonna ban your fist now?
In Britain last year.
How many chimpanzees can dance on the head of a pin?
Well, I've not spoken to...
I feel like none. I mean, you can make the argument of like, hey, listen, just because there is gun violence doesn't mean we should remove guns. You might think it's a necessary evil or something. That's fine. But like, there could still be better ways to operate guns more safely and to make sure people that, have guns have them responsibly by doing, some kind of a driver's license for guns. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. Teaching people proper safety courses and whatnot. So
Alex Jones in an interview format since that day. He is now, I would say comfortably, the world's most notorious conspiracy theorist.
Probably,
As I say, I defend everybody's right to an honestly held opinion. I defend everyone's right to use words of their choice. But
that's the thing is do you think Alex Jones is actually an honest person? That's really what the question comes down to. Because Alex Jones, like, I don't know. Like I said, I remember I watched This Place Rules. Like, yeah, I know we're supposed to hate Andrew Callahan. I get it. But I watched This Place Rules, and he talks to He talks to Alex Jones. And it's a very interesting conversation. And it suggests, like, it's all grift. I mean, he riles people up with like the he riled a lot of people up with the 1776 whole narrative. And he didn't even show up to January 6th, like the riots, even though he riled people up a lot. He's even said that when it comes to his like conspiracy theories and stuff, he's like, yeah, like the people are basically dumb that watch his show and they want things to be dumbed down for them because they're like dumb Americans. Like, it's interesting how much shit he'll talk about them. And it makes me question, does he actually mean what he says?
They're not accountable for those words. And I don't think Alex Jones necessarily trades in honestly held opinions, but we'll come to that when I talk to him.
Ooh.
Very few tragedies have ever moved me the way that Sandy Hook did. I was on air at CNN at the time that story broke. 20 children, aged between 6 and 7, were murdered by a lunatic with a semi-automatic rifle. Alex Jones told his many followers within a few hours it was all a hoax, a government hoax, a deep state plot to justify seizing guns. He said that the grieving families were actors.
Yeah. And that caused them to get a lot of threats on their own life after they lost their own children. It's horrible stuff. It's terrible.
The public doesn't know the school was actually closed the year before. They don't know they've shielded all, demolished the building. They don't know that they have the kids going in circles in and out of the building as a photo op, blue screen, green screens. But it took me about a year with Sandy Hook to come to grips with the fact that the whole thing was fake. I mean, even I couldn't believe it. I knew they jumped on it, used the crisis, hyped it up, but then I did deep research, and my gosh.
Deep research,
It just pretty much didn't happen.
Jesus.
Well, it did happen. Those children did get murdered. They were riddled with bullets by an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle. I can't even imagine as a father of 4.
What a horribly poetic way to like describe that. Riddled with bullets. Jesus.
Kids, what that sight must have looked like. Those parents had to see their children riddled with bullets. And then they had to put up with years of harassment and threats and disgraceful incidents.
Couldn't even grieve.
Because Alex Jones fueled a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I think he has to overall pay like $1 billion, and that's why he probably has to keep his show going so he can plug as many like fucking ridiculous like non-working vitamins as possible.
Almost immediately that the whole thing was fake and that these parents who were grieving for their dead children, that they were actors. I have made my views clear about that. But I also think that it's right that I should interview him tonight. He wanted to come on and talk to me. and to explain what's gone down here and where he's found himself, which is facing a $1.5 billion payout to the families in various lawsuits that they took. And I do believe that people should be allowed to express themselves as long as they're held to account and they're challenged on that. And that's what we're going to do tonight with Alex Jones. So my guest tonight is Alex Jones. He's over in Texas in America. Alex, good evening to you.
Piers, it's good to be here with you after 10 years and the biggest news event on CNN in 2013. So the circle is now complete. But you just spent 8 minutes saying a lot of things that were true, a lot of things that weren't.
Only about 4 for us. I wonder if they edited stuff down.
True. So I'd like to address that right now if I can. When I came on your show months and months after Sandy Hook, in the CNN studios in New York, I never said it didn't happen. I never sent people to their houses. When the internet went totally viral.
It's interesting because he said we just saw them show a clip of him saying, I did deep research, and it basically didn't happen. And so it's like, you like how the fact that he's backpedaling so hard, it suggests that he's lying very heavily.
Viral in the next year, questioning it with anomalies. I did cover 23 minutes is what they introduced in court over the next few years, a few times. We're talking 5-6 shows. What the internet was questioning on my call-in radio show with a document cam on air. But I did not build my career off Sandy Hook. I barely, not even 1/10 of 1% covered it. And so to say that I sent people to harass families or
I didn't say that.
on the graves of the
I didn't
children.
say that. I didn't say you sent anyone to.
No, I don't think he actively sent anybody, but through his like incredibly harmful rhetoric, people were like relentlessly harassing people.
Do anything. No, Alex, look, I want to have a reasonable. Let me just say, I want to have a reasonable conversation. I don't want to get into the screaming match that descended into last time. I think that's futile for everyone watching. You are now a very infamous person around the world. You know that. A lot of people know about you, what they've read, most of it negative. This is your chance to explain what's happened and to, if you want to, express remorse for things that you've got wrong and done wrong. You find yourself in a very bad place right now. You're facing paying out potentially $1.5 billion to these families. You said that you don't have that money, you can't pay that money. So far, you haven't paid any of the money. How do you feel, first of all, about the fact that you faced this gigantic, victory for the families and defeat for you?
Okay, so you did 8 minutes and 45 seconds attacking me. I got 30 seconds. I will answer your question in a moment, but I want to get something completely straight. I came on your show months and months and months and months after it happened. I blamed the serotonin reuptake inhibitors, the antidepressants. I blamed the mother getting him the gun on your show. So the claim that I first questioned Sandy Hook or I first did it.
So it sounds like he was backpedaling. Well, but no, it's interesting. I don't know the exact timeline of the first time that he went on the show, but what it sounded like is that Alex Jones proposed originally the idea that they were weaponizing the Sandy Hook situation to try to get rid of guns. And then he shifted to, I did a lot of research and it turns out that I don't even think it's true, which he just showed on the show. So maybe that's where the timeline was. Maybe at the time he wasn't promoting the conspiracy theory that it was actually all a hoax, and he was just promoting the idea that people are using it to weaponize, like are using that as a weapon against guns. So maybe that would explain that discrepancy.
Was a bunch of professors and a bunch of media people. Became a huge story. I looked at it and said, yeah, we've seen WMDs in Iraq. We've seen Operation Northwoods. We see Jussie Smollett. Later, we see now admitted the Twitter files that they had thousands of fake doctors online saying the shot was safe and effective and protected you. So
well, that's not true. What do you mean? What are you talking? What? What is it? What? It was fake. What is he talking about?
That they had thousands. We see Jussie Smollett.
Well, yeah, Jussie Smollett, but that wasn't a government conspiracy. That was a fucking scumbag, and now he's getting his own.
Later, we see now admitted the Twitter files that they had thousands of fake doctors online.
That's not true at all. What is he talking about? There was no. I looked through the Twitter files. Nothing had to do with fake doctors. What?
Saying the shot was safe and effective and protected you. Something you've come out and said was wrong and was a lie. So I always questioned every major event, but I did not make my bones on Sandy Hook. I barely covered it on your show months and months and months after it happened.
Here's what I would say to you.
Cover it long,
here's what I would say
long
to you.
after.
Listen, you may well categorize this as a very small part of your career. Unfortunately for you, it's now become this gigantic part of your career because of the.
Okay, so apparently a number of the prominent COVID doctor Twitter accounts were fake, but that doesn't mean the information was fake. Who faked them? Did the government fake them, or did a bunch of like little nerds make fake accounts about being doctors? And which way does it go? Which direction does it go? Are the people that are fake doctors saying COVID wasn't bad, or are they fake doctors saying COVID was bad? I don't know what he's talking about. I would need more on this. Okay, so there might have been some fake Somebody might have been making fake accounts pretending to be doctors, signal boosting like Dr. Fauci. Who cares? That doesn't mean that COVID was not real. Okay. Interesting.
Nature of this payout. So
That's totally true. So let me respond to your question.
Is simply to ask you, what did you feel about the size of the payout you've been ordered to pay and the fact that you suffered one of the biggest losses of any lawsuit of that nature in modern history?
Well, I mean, it's not one of the biggest, it's the biggest. And so if you actually want the inside baseball and know what actually went on, I'm really happy to tell you.
Well, I'm more interested, Alex, in how you built this empire. And I'm going to come to how you built it in a moment. You built this empire as a very provocative, many would argue they found you very entertaining as well, high energy, mischief-making shock jock, for want of a better phrase, who went on the airwaves and said a lot of very controversial things and built up a very big following and made a vast amount of money doing it. I mean, you wouldn't dispute any of that, right? That's not attacking you. That's just a statement of fact.
So listen, but I'm happy to come on, but you've had 90% of the talk time. So
it is my show. I just want you to answer.
Oh, I get it. You can just say what you want about
me. I understand. Again, I don't want to have a confrontational interview.
Alex is in like full coat mode. He won't answer a single question. I understand that Piers just has more the dominating of the time, of course. But he basically, the way this is going to work is he sets the stage, he gives context on who Alex Jones is, and then Alex Jones gets to start responding. And so far he's been just like, I can't respond. Like, let's hear, I guess I get it, but we've seen that he's in like this full coat mode where he's like, yeah, I'm not really responsible for anything. So it's like, okay, how far can we really get?
I want to ask you, as I say, you built this big empire, and now the entire empire has been imperiled by losing this lawsuit. I mean, you wouldn't dispute that.
No. I have more than 15 offers right now on huge networks if my system goes under. Let me just explain something.
What networks?
Talk facts, okay? Here's a timeline of 10 and a half years since, or 10 years, 2 months since Sandy Hook.
Okay.
It happens the first year. I don't think it's staged. It becomes a huge internet thing that it's staged. I have a few debates. I have a few guests on. I cover. I said, yeah, it could be staged. So much stuff is staged. Then I go 2+ years, 2015 into 16, never discussing it. This all came out in the lawsuit. And then they run against Trump. Hillary runs $30 million of TV ads showing edited clips of me saying synthetic event never happened. And then Trump still wins. And we now learned after the lawsuits, they hired a high-powered New York think tank PR firm to then make it a huge story. Tens of thousands of articles, thousands of newscasts about me in 2016, 17 about Sandy Hook. I go, whoa, those anomalies I heard from those professors and people were wrong. I think it happened. Nobody sued me. Go on Joe Rogan, apologize, do a whole apology tour because I wasn't sophisticated back then. I'm like, yeah, I think it happened. I barely covered it. Then they sue me once I apologize. They have a judge in Texas, in Austin, is as liberal as San Francisco, and in Connecticut, sue me. Then I give them all my text, all my documents, which they show in court, but say I gave them no documents. They default me. First time in modern U.S. history. I'm found guilty by judges, and juries then have hearings on how guilty I am. Then they have a false financial expert get up and say I'm worth $400 million. At the time they did that 6 months ago.
I mean, I wouldn't doubt that. He gets tons of views on his platform. It's not even like on YouTube or anything. Wouldn't doubt that at all. Okay.
In that hearing in Texas, in that kangaroo operation, I had like $3 million in the bank.
Well, you say, okay, all right, let me.
Well, net worth isn't about how much money you have in the bank. It's about how much money you're worth overall with like all your assets. And I think it takes into account like your debt and whatnot as well. So it's not entirely accurate, but.
See, hold on, Piers, you're buying.
But you can't just keep talking, Alex. Let me just explain to you what I think.
Oh, God forbid I get a third of the time you get.
Well, you know what? It's my show. It's the way it works. On your show, you get 90% of the time on your show if I was a guest on your show.
You don't want to, I'm just telling you,
I just want to have a normal
real discussion.
Let's have a normal debate. I want to play you a clip.
This is
a clip of one of the parents from Sandy Hook, because you've talked about this at length now, Nicole Hockley. And I want to talk after this clip. I want you to just listen to what she had to say to me recently on the show.
He did his first broadcast saying that he thought this was a false flag when I was still in the firehouse and I didn't even know if my child was alive or dead yet. He started off within 2.5 hours of the shooting and has kept putting out video after video for year after year after year, and calling us all crisis actors, calling our children, either that they were never killed or they were never alive in the first place, that we're traitors, that we're treasonous, and that we're government shills. It's been very difficult. It's been easy to turn off some of it, but some of these people have been incredibly dangerous. And when he stokes this anger in his base, this fear, and then incites them to action by saying, we need to investigate this, you need to look into this more, they come at us. So part of it's just social media comments, which can be damaging. It's defaming. It's hurting your reputation. People, I don't know if I'm walking around who thinks I'm real and who thinks I'm an actress. It's damaging to my son's memory in terms of his life, his short 6-year-old life. It's damaging to my surviving son because I don't know what he's going to deal with going forward, but it's also scared the living daylights out of me. I sleep with weapons by my bedside. I've received death threats. I've received harassing calls.
I think, and I could be wrong, I think like one of the people like ended up taking their own life because they were getting harassed so much. It's crazy.
Calls and mail. I've had people send me pictures of dead children because they say, as a crisis actor, you have no idea what a dead child looks like. So let me send you this picture so you can see it. This is stuff that has really not only just been distressing, it's disturbing. And in terms of security, you know, I'm just a mom. I'm just trying to look after my surviving son, run my organization, and make some good in the world. I didn't choose to be part of this. Alex Jones chose to tell lies knowing that they were lies and continuing to harbor that lie and make it happen for his own profit.
What's your reaction to that woman who lost her son, Dylan, at Sandy Hook?
Total garbage. Never said her name. Only person's name I said was Robbie Parker. 30-something million views on YouTube. He was laughing. Everything suddenly started
So
crying.
your response to that woman's incredibly powerful,
so you're going to give me 5 seconds?
Account.
Well, this isn't
how can your first response be
Piers.
total garbage?
This is, well, I guess I can't do this interview. People have to go to Infowars.com later, and I'll respond to you. You're not letting me talk. I never said her name. Under Connecticut and Texas law, you can't sue somebody for defamation if you never said their name. I didn't do any of those things. I was on.
Oh, so his whole thing is that he didn't technically say her name, so he couldn't have caused her any harm, even though he was speaking incredibly just broadly about all, like, of everything. But since he didn't explicitly say, that's his defense. His defense isn't that he didn't say things that would negatively impact her. It was that he didn't explicitly say her name. Wow, incredible. I was so fucking pathetic. What a loser.
On your show months and months after it happened and said it happened and said it was Prozac. I looked at both of the views and they clipped that out to attach themselves to me on air. I never talked about that woman. I didn't even know who she was.
You said it was a hoax, Alex. You said it was a hoax. You said it was phony as a $3 bill. You said the entire thing is a giant hoax.
I thought Justice
Remember,
Small
this is
was
the White
fake.
House
I thought
has been
WMDs
running
were
the
fake.
fake Bin Laden raid. People just know there's a lot of fraud going on. You've got
Here's what I'm going to say to you, Piers.
Wait a second, Alex.
Let me talk for 5 seconds.
Let me finish.
You sent me a list of topics.
Let me finish.
You sent me a list of topics.
I'm going to come to those.
I said I'd come on, and one of them is Sandy Hook. I'm on for an hour. Let's talk about the Davos group.
Yes.
Let's talk about the
We're
war in
going to come
Ukraine.
to other-
Let's talk about internet censorship.
Alex.
Let's talk about the vaccines. When
Alex.
are we going to talk about other topics? Because they're attacked. They live off
Jesus
me.
Christ.
I didn't make money off Sandy Hook.
They don't live
got
off you.
70
I wonder how many people are going to I didn't make money off Sandy Hook. Okay. I wonder how many people are going to go to Alex Jones' show now after, like, he was like, yeah, still have to, for my side of the story, you'll have to go to my show. Because even if he only gets like a few thousand people, that's just more people that he potentially exposes his like fucking insanity to. So I wonder. I truly do.
$3 million from Remington. They
Alex?
live off Sandy Hook. I don't.
Okay, here's what I would say to you. Maybe one of the reasons that they have a problem with you and what you did is that you were saying on air things like you've got parents laughing, ha, ha, ha. Then they walk over to the camera and go boo, hoo, hoo. And not just one, but a bunch of parents doing this. And then photos of kids that are still alive, they say dead. I mean, they think we're so dumb. These were parents who
Yes,
were
I told you
these
that I
were
said the
parents in
Robbie
the
Parker
grip of
thing.
unbelievable trauma.
Yeah, listen. And Madeleine Albright, Secretary of State under Clinton, was asked by Leslie Stahl in 60 Minutes that Clinton tripled sanctions on Iraq to kill 2 million people, 500,000 children. She said it was a good thing to do. She'd do it again. I didn't kill 500,000 children. I question all these events because many of them are provocateur
No, but I
or
understand
staged.
that. I understand that, but I also understand the
What about all the
obvious
kids
hurt.
dying from the poisoned shots?
Let me just
what about the
finish. I
CDC
also
admitting it causes myocarditis
Here's the
heart attacks?
problem, Alex.
Okay,
The problem is
okay,
you
if
have-
I deserve to die for questioning a mass shooting, then what happens to the big companies that sold these poisoned shots that weren't approved and weren't safe and didn't
Here's my
protect us?
question.
What
Here's
happens
my-
to them while you're? I'm the worst guy in the world.
Alex.
So Piers, hold on. I'm the worst guy in the world, right?
I didn't say that.
He's
told
up
him
there.
in a deposition that back when this went on, and I started questioning it like 9 years ago.
It's funny because there are, I believe there are like health risks taking the COVID like virus or the COVID vaccine, but that doesn't mean that they don't outweigh the good. I mean, there's going to always be there's anything that you take is going to have side effects. I was also apprehensive at first about like the COVID vaccine when I first it came out, because I was like, wow, this happened really quick. I mean, it was an emergency response. Of course, it's going to happen quickly because COVID was pretty fucked. But I ended up taking it because my wife had to take it, and I was like, hey, we might as well both take it, and then I'm fine. Life went on.
About a year after. When I said false flag, I believe they may have protected him They may have known it was coming. Like Uvalde, 75 minutes, the police stood down. I believe that was a real shooter. Real kids died. In Florida, at Parkland, there was a stand down. Why the police chief said, well, he thought he'd already killed all the kids, so he didn't want more death. That was in the news. That was in the Dallas Morning News yesterday. I'm questioning Parkland, saying, did they let it happen? That's a false flag. To say a false flag doesn't mean the parents are fake. I apologized on Joe Rogan before I was sued. I apologized on dozens.
Well, then why would you need to apologize though if you weren't wrong? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what was the? It doesn't make any sense. If you're claiming you never said anything wrong, why do you have to apologize?
Of shows when they brought this up in 2016.
All right, but here's my question. Here's my question.
And then they went on the news and said I was currently sending people to their houses. Where is the video of me saying go to their houses?
Alex?
Where is the video of me?
No, what they were saying was that the rhetoric that Alex Jones was using was causing people to go to like other people's, like some of these people's houses and like threaten them and like send them death threats and letters and this, and it was really fucked. There's like, I think one family that had to move multiple, like 7 times or something because it was so bad.
Be pissing on their graves.
Alex,
it's not true.
No.
They're raising money on my name.
Alex, let me respond.
I took the Pfizer.
I want to just try and get inside your head for a moment and see whether you have ever fully comprehended the scale of what happened to these families, because as things stand, I believe 20% of Americans, 1 in 5, believe that mass shootings like Sandy Hook are staged. A lot of that is down to somebody like you with your huge following, which you built up. Like Sandy Hook, I believe 20% of Americans, 1 in 5, believe that mass shootings like Sandy Hook are staged. A lot of that is down to somebody like you with your huge following, which you built up, consistently suggesting they're staged, including Sandy Hook. This is what happened to some of the families, okay? Erica Lafferty, whose mother was killed, has had to move 5 times since the shooting and avoids going to the grocery store because people tell her
They say,
it was a... Well,
they didn't show any evidence. The judges found me guilty.
I'll ask you a question.
The judges found me guilty. That's
Alex,
illegal.
I know. Let me just finish. She said it got scary and more graphic. Things would be mailed to her house that were threats of rape.
The 500,000 dead Iraqis?
Jennifer Hensel and Jeremy Rickman.
I'm trying to find this, like 1 in 5 people in America think mass shootings are staged, because I feel like that's just not true, and I cannot find a single thing that suggests that. Is there anything there?
Parents of 6-year-old Aviel, who was killed, set up a foundation for their daughter. Soon after, email addresses attached to the foundation.
What about the cops killed by Black Lives Matter?
Let me finish. We're flooded with messages saying Aviel didn't exist.
What?
That Hensel and others were actors and questioned why money was being raised from a fake shooting. In 2019, Jeremy Rickman, Aviel's father, killed himself.
Jesus.
Friends called Hensel, his wife, Jennifer, to tell her people were at the cemetery where Aviel was buried looking for evidence that her husband had actually died.
Jesus.
David Wheeler, the father of 6-year-old Ben Wheeler, who died at Sandy Hook, detailed 2 instances in which people actually showed up at his home demanding to see Ben, insisting he was alive. He said people also pointed to a student film he made in college as proof he was a crisis actor. Robbie and Alyssa Parker, and you did mention Robbie Parker, who I interviewed many times and felt a deep affinity with, and you said he was laughing after his poor little girl was killed. But she said that, Alyssa, his wife, said that the vicious comments on the memorial Facebook page honouring her daughter were so terrifying she couldn't remember much of her daughter's funeral.
Damn.
Mark Banston, the lawyer representing the
so
Sandy
here's
Hook
the deal,
families,
Piers.
said there
You
were
were
people
dishonest.
threatening to kill us.
You said one of your topics was Sandy Hook. Here's the deal. They showed no proof of that in court. The judge didn't let me defend myself.
Okay.
You just
Alex,
want to sit here and talk about Sandy
Alex,
Hook.
I am not.
I want to move on to other topics.
My question is simply this: when you hear about the impact on these poor families whose children, aged 6, were blown to pieces in a school, when you hear about the impact, do you have any real regret or remorse about fueling this idea that it was staged and hoaxed and they were comic actors?
You let me talk at all? Adam Lanza killed those children, not me. A Democratic Party PR firm looked at Trump, looked at me in 2016.
That wasn't my question.
Brought up Sandy Hook.
That wasn't my question.
I'm going to explain to you again. I'm going to say it again. The media took what I said out of context.
They didn't.
Years later, magnified it. Let me finish. To make a political hit point on me and on Trump, and they blew it all up and then said I was doing it. They have no proof I ever sent anybody to their houses. I didn't. I a few times questioned it on air. I became super famous.
You said it was a hoax and a fake.
To me. They've raised hundreds of millions in donations, 73 million from Remington. Now they're coming after the First Amendment. It's insane. And I told you I'd come on and briefly talk about Sandy Hook. You sent a whole list of topics. Now I want you to be true to your word and not a deceptive person, Piers. We have spent 24 minutes on Sandy Hook. I want to move on to the Davos group.
I just want you to answer the question first. Before we move on, do you feel, when you hear these accounts of what happened to these families?
Yeah, I don't think he feels bad at all. I think he's in complete deflect mode. It's all legal deflect mode. I don't think that he really cares. That's pretty much all it is at this point.
Do you feel a sense of personal regret and remorse that your actions on air, inspired a lot of people to think these people were actors and their kids didn't really die? Do you feel genuine remorse?
You let me talk for any?
Answer the question.
500,000 Iraqi children starved to death.
No, that's
and
not the
Madeleine Albright
question.
did it on purpose. And no.
Well, I mean, listen, that's a whole other conversation to have about whatever Alex is having. The thing is that he doesn't care about any of these other events that were going on. He's just trying to use them as deflection points. That's all it really boils down to. It's not like he cares about Iraqi children. He just cares about like trying to get off the topic of what he's talking about. To be like, well, they did something that was worse than me, so I can't have done anything wrong. It's like, okay, that's a conversation to have. I'm not entirely sure exactly what he's talking about, but those are two different topics. Those are two different issues.
I feel way less. No, I legitimately question Sandy Hook, and I stand by what I did.
You said it was a fake and a hoax.
You let me finish? Attach themselves to me to raise money and to claim I'm doing things to them I didn't do, to raise money and to try to take over my life. And no, I don't. I apologize before they sued me if I ever hurt anybody's feelings, and I'm supposed to apologize forever and ever in some communist
I just asked you
session.
I just asked you whether you feel regret and
Infowars.com.
remorse. I asked you whether you feel regret and remorse for fueling this belief that Sandy Hook was staged and fake. That's the only question I asked you.
When you give an apology, which I've given over 150 times, you're done with the apology. Type in Alex Jones apologizes for Sandy Hook. You'll have it before they sued me, so I'll point you to that. You're so good at all your clips. But no, I'm not going to come back on your show in 10 years, and you'll say, do you now apologize? If I sat here and slit my throat on air, it wouldn't be enough for you. I legitimately question mass events because of things like Operation Northwoods that called for staging mass shootings that didn't occur in the United States. Look it up, ABC News, Operation Northwoods. I came on here, Piers, to have a real discussion with you and ask for money.
Where did Andrew Callahan post the video?
Imagine the biggest settlement ever. Fentanyl, settlements for OxyContin, settlements that have killed millions of people, and this settlement is way bigger. And they say Jones refuses to pay. I don't have $5 million, much less $1.5 billion. So when they say I refuse to pay, if I have 3 gallons of blood in my body, and they say we want 1,000 gallons, I don't have 1,000.
Well, there should be more settlements for other these things like OxyContin and whatnot. That doesn't mean that what he did was right.
Gallons of
Okay,
blood.
we've got to take a short commercial break.
Hook.
Alex, we'll come back and we will talk about other things after the break.
All right.
Well, welcome back. Alex Jones is still with me. Alex, we'll move on to other things. I looked at the InfoWars website tonight. You were leading several hours ago, actually, on the story which I addressed at the top of the show, which is about this ludicrous idea that the word field is racist. I'm sure there are a number of things like that on which we would have complete agreement. But I also found a piece on your website near the top today, which said the following: falsehoods have far-reaching costs in livelihoods and lives. Lack of integrity and conflicts of interest have led to an unprecedented institutional false information pandemic. There is nothing that dispels false narratives better than personal inquiry and critical thinking. So the next time conflicted institutions cry woeful wolf or vicious variant or whatever it is, we need to think twice. So very strong worded piece there about the danger of falsehoods. Do you agree with that?
Well, let me answer your question, and we'll finish up the Sandy Hook thing. I wish that I wasn't misled by some of those professors and people that thought that it was staged. It was a very small part of what I did. I tried to apologize. I tried to settle. I tried to make restitution. And then they misrepresented. When I was in the Texas trial, you can look at this, they had one of the mothers on who lost her son. And I went on my show that morning and taped it before I went to court. And I said, I think she's real. I think her son died. I've seen her testimony the day before. And I'm very sorry that Adam Lanza did this. And then she went on the...
Well, who cares if he says that he thinks that it's real? That he's already promoted the theory at this point. You can't just be like, nah, it didn't actually happen. What is he talking about? Holy shit. Okay.
stand and said, Jones attacked me and said I'm an actress. It's all fake today. And I walked over to her.
So Andrew Callahan did not post a video on his channel anywhere. I don't know what you're talking about, but okay.
In the break, and I said, watch my show from today. Your lawyers lied to you. And the next day she came up and cried and shook my hand. And Scarlett Lewis had said, oh my God, it's true. I saw you did say that. So there's a lot of manipulation here. Look, I didn't do this consciously.
Oh, he saw that he said that the other day, like after he had already promoted the conspiracy theory. Oh, okay. Good guy. Good guy. Okay. What does it mean at that point? I don't understand. Yes, he did. Okay, so send it to me on Instagram because there's nothing there.
I think their children died.
You're so... I'm just... you said on his channel. And now it's like, oh, it's on his Instagram. It's like a little... Like, come on. Like... Okay. Sure. Let me keep moving.
But I think you're being manipulated by groups. I wish I never would have said it.
That's better.
You have to have guidelines. I have messed up a lot in my life, Piers. And listen, that's what I said, a love-hate relationship with you, and I sent you an audio message yesterday. I watched the intro to your show, and I was like, man, I wish I was as good as this guy. Because I covered the same stuff today, but the way you brought up them saying the word America is bad, and the way you pointed out that it's not by itself, that it's a cult that wants to control language, I was like, that guy's a master of really understanding this attack on our freedom. And I wish he knew that I was a real guy, and I'm just learning.
The difference, Alex, honestly, the difference between us, I would say, is this. I have always strived, not always successfully, but I've always strived in my career to put a premium on accuracy and facts. Because I think without that, you have nothing. I would argue, and this is your chance to dispel this notion, that over the years you have deliberately and systematically used conspiracy theories, which I suspect you know are not true, to fuel interest in a large number of people who then go and buy your products, which you sell, which are a massive part of your business and have made you hundreds of millions of dollars. And I'm going to give you some examples collectively, so let me just read them out.
Hold on, everybody has sponsors and sells products.
They're really,
a chance to respond when I'm
they're really just going to keep talking about this topic, huh? Yeah, I mean, he deserves. He should be forced to be accountable on this. So,
but this is some of the stuff you said on air, right? In 2017, you had to apologize after promoting the infamous Pizzagate fake story that a Washington pizza restaurant was the locale of a child sex abuse ring run by Hillary Clinton and her campaign chairman. After 9/11, you called it an inside job perpetrated by the U.S. government.
Jesus, did he
You said that chemicals in the water, which are put there by the government, are turning frogs gay.
Maybe that part's true, but all the other stuff, did he really? Everything else, Jesus. Okay, what a track record, huh?
In a gay bomb. You said Michelle Obama is a man. In a 12-minute video, you analysed footage of photographs proving that Mrs. Obama has a penis. You said that Robert Mueller, the former FBI director who investigated Trump's Russia ties, which turned out to be
Hey, can
a
we
fake
stop?
story,
Can we hold on?
was
Can
a
we take
demonic.
each one of these?
Was it, well, hang on, was a demonic
Piers.
I mean, these are all important. This just shows that he's just a conspiracy theorist that's constantly promoting whatever he can to make him as much money as possible. So,
pedophile and said that's a demon I will
Infowars.com.
take down or
You
die trying.
can't-
He's obviously not a paedophile, and so on. So here's my point, Alex. Are you there? You keep flashing up your info. You don't need to promote Infowars. We all know about it.
Listen, what I'm
Here's
trying
my
to tell
point.
you is
on the front page
you
of
make
Infowars,
all these charges
Alex,
and I can't respond.
let me ask you the question I'm about to ask you. I read a piece on Infowars all about the danger of falsehoods, right? The cost to livelihoods and lives, the problem with lack of integrity and a false information.
I think that there was some chemical that was making like frogs not gay. I think it was making them like, I don't know, asexual or something, or be able to, what is it when you can do either? I don't remember the specifics. But he also talked about how like there's cows that were like half human, like hybrid spider cows. When what was happening is they were like mixing, I think, a little bit of a gene from a spider that made silk for Kevlar into cow so that their milk would produce it and they could sift it out or something. So like he takes like these very small things and he blows them up into like these absolute conspiracy theories.
Pandemic. Your website is promoting that thinking, that it's wrong to have false information put out there. And yet the guy behind the website making all the money is the guy saying all this stuff, which is obviously
All right,
complete
you just
nonsense.
talked for 4
And here's my
minutes.
point,
Can I
Alex.
talk now?
You know it's nonsense, don't you?
You're scared to let me talk.
Your chance to respond.
No, I don't know it's nonsense. And if you took your time through all those points you just raised, I can back every one of them. There are more than 1,000 university studies from England to Australia to South Africa to Mexico to Austin, Texas, that atrazine is literally making male frogs gay. They don't want to have sex with female frogs, and their populations are plummeting and even becoming extinct. Boom.
Okay.
Then 9/11. I don't think radical Islam doesn't exist. There were criminal elements in our government that it came out even in the hearings that stood down and did nothing. So you rattle off.
9/11 was not an inside job. Michelle Obama is not a man. Robert Mueller is not a demonic
let me talk
paedophile.
about Michelle Obama.
And
Let me
in
talk about Michelle
Pizzagate,
Obama.
Hillary
Let me
Clinton
talk about
didn't
Michelle
run a
Obama.
child abuse
Let me
ring
talk
from a
about- let me
pizza
talk about
restaurant.
Big Mike.
These are all ridiculous lies. And here's the
Big Mike, is that Michelle Obama? Oh my God. Okay.
point, Alex. You're not a stupid
You just
man.
repeated him again.
You're not a
Okay,
stupid
I'm going to talk
man.
over you then.
You know these things
You
are
don't let me talk. I'm
untrue.
going to talk over you. Let me talk. That is a transcript you have. I was playing a clip of Joan Rivers 2 months before she died with fire exploding out of her mouth in a surgery. She said, Michelle Obama is a tranny. Everybody knows that we already have a gay president. And I was quoting what she said, and I was questioning what people were saying. That's Joan Rivers. Now let's move on. What was the other one? What was the other one you were saying?
Hey,
Robert Mueller is a demonic paedophile.
didn't he just call her Big Mike though? What is he talking about? What the fuck? This guy's nuts, dude. Not that we didn't know that already, but okay.
Robert Mueller is definitely okay. Let's talk about Pizzagate. I didn't generate Pizzagate. It was in the WikiLeaks documents. A whole bunch of Aleister Crowley Satanism.
You
and
apologize because you
eight-year-olds
promote.
Well, listen, he plays on like a popular, like very divisive conspiracy theories, and he goes like, "Oh, this is a thing. This is a thing. This is a thing." That's like his whole MO. That's his whole whole claim to fame here. Is that he will popularize conspiracy theories. That's like his thing. So.
To that conspiracy theory too.
No.
Here's my point, Alex. I don't think you
got me
really
here.
believe any of these things. I think you realized early on in your life that there was a lot of money to be made from fueling conspiracy theories, and you have made
You're right. I
a
said
ton of
Jeffrey
money
Epstein.
from it.
I said Jeffrey Epstein 13 years ago ran an island in the Caribbean with kidnapped children. I said the Nexium cult was branding people 5 years before it broke. No, I had the sources and I had the guts. I lost viewers saying Sandy Hook might have been staged. I lost some of my reporters. That
that's
is
not
not
true at all.
true what you're saying. I don't sit there and think of a story I'm going to say. I've got 2 too many stories here. And then say, oh, I'm going to lie about this thing. I said Jussie Smollett, despite the fact I was already sued by Sandy Hook, I said the day after it, before anybody else, I said, I think it's staged. I think at 2:30 in the morning, 22 below zero in Chicago.
I thought it's stunk
black
too.
guys walking around.
Yeah, but that's one of those things where it's like a broken clock is right twice a day kind of a thing. Like, oh yeah, you got the Jussie Smollett thing right. Well, yeah, of course.
Here's my point, Alex. Again, here's my point to you. Here's my question for you.
Believe it.
You are, for want of a better phrase, who.
And I went on my show that morning and taped it before I went to court.
Frogs gay.
You just talked for 4 minutes.
Ridiculous lies. Here's the point, Alex. You're not a stupid man.
You just repeated them again.
You're not a stupid man.
I'm going to talk over you then.
You know these things.
So you rattle off. Then 9/11. I don't think Ratsey studies from England to Australia to South Africa to Mexico to Austin, Texas. That atrazine is literally making male frogs gay.
Where was I at? I just fucked my stream up so bad. Hold on a second. Hit the wrong button. I gotta go find out where I was just a moment ago. Jesus Christ. Oh my Lanta. How far in were we? Yeah, good job. That's what I'm saying, dude. I gotta do more editing now. Fucked it up so bad. 28:44. It looks like we're at. Right? Like very divisive conspiracy.
I think you really believe any of these things. I think you realized early on in your life that there was a lot of money to be made from fueling conspiracy theories, and you have made a ton of money from it.
I said Jeffrey Epstein 13 years ago ran an island in the Caribbean with kidnapped children. I said the NXIVM cult was branding people 5 years before it broke. No, I had the sources and I had the guts. I lost viewers saying Sandy Hook might have been staged. I lost some of my reporters. That is not true, what you're saying. I don't sit there and think of a story I'm going to say. I've got too many stories here. And then say, oh, I'm going to lie about this thing. I said Jussie Smollett, despite the fact I was already sued by Sandy Hook, I said the day after it, before anybody else, I said, I think it's staged. I think at 2:30 in the morning, 22 below zero in Chicago.
I thought it stunk too.
Black guys walking around.
But here's my point, Alex. Again, here's my point to you. Here's my question for you.
Believe it.
You are a smart enough person. From interviews I've seen of you with Joe Rogan for 3 hours, you're more than smart enough to do a show where you genuinely examine stories like Jussie Smollett and you ask the right questions, as a journalist would do. But I don't think you are a journalist. And you're not saying you're not a trained journalist, but you don't come at it like a journalist. You come at it as a commercial operator who's made a fortune from fueling conspiracy theories which are ludicrous. And to a point,
let me respond to that. You said that lie. You said that lie 5 times. Piers, you had me here. Let me respond to each lie you spew.
Let me finish.
Your goal is to spew lies. I'm going to tell you again.
He's like so just rhetorically driven. There's nothing intelligent or genuine about Alex Jones. It's nuts. He just keeps saying you're lying, and then he just confirms what he said was like fucking what he actually said. This is nuts.
I'm not against capitalism, and the people earn money normally and naturally. That's great.
What?
If I sell $70 million of food and supplements and books and films, and we make $20 million off that, and I pay my crew and my bandwidth and pay myself a couple $1 million a year, that is accurate. But the idea that I have billions of dollars and the idea that I did these
I don't think you've made billions of dollars.
things,
I think you've made several $100 million, and some of the products included very false claims about diet supplements and toothpaste, which could be used to fight coronavirus. And you were sent to cease and desist.
All I said is...
Did he really promote his like stuff as if it could like defeat coronavirus or whatever? Incredible.
Is that silver on contact kills all viruses just like sunlight. And I said vitamin D3 is an antiviral and vitamin C is, and it's a fact. And I also said, Piers, that the studies they'd already done with mRNA vaccines showed they didn't protect you and they erase your immune system, and you've had to apologize.
Well, actually, no, just to clarify, they do protect you from coronavirus. The difference was that a year into the pandemic, it emerged that the initial feeling that if you had the vaccine, you couldn't transmit it, turned out to be wrong. But they do protect you.
Vaccine
they do protect you. And in fact,
Hey, Piers,
millions of people, are alive today. That the initial feeling that if you had the vaccine, you couldn't transmit it.
Okay, so they basically, I remember that. That's like the walk back that like you, the vaccine didn't actually prevent you from spreading it, but it did reduce the, like, you know, the destructive force of it, really. So, okay.
Turned out to be wrong, but they do protect you. They do protect you, and in fact,
hey, Piers,
millions of people,
you and others are alive today
because they took the vaccine.
You're going to stand at Nuremberg too. You're going to stand at Nuremberg too. Did you get money from Big Pharma?
No, I didn't get any
money. All these other media people.
We're going to take. Yeah, listen. The vaccines work.
Did you get money?
The vaccines
Did you get money
work,
like CNN for pushing Prozac?
Millions of lives. However, let's take a short break.
No,
I want to come back with our final segment, and I want to ask you one last question.
Well, it hasn't all come out. It worked. Like, it wasn't as effective as they originally thought, but it was still solid, kept people alive. Like, Jesus Christ.
You're going down.
Incredible.
Infowars.com.
Welcome back to my final segment with Alex Jones. Alex, on January the 6th, the infamous January the 6th, you stood there riding the crowds up by saying, we declare 1776 against a new world order. We need to understand we're under attack. We need to understand this is 21st century warfare and get on a war footing. And within several hours, that's exactly what thousands of people did. They went down from hearing you say that, and Donald Trump saying what he said, and they launched an unprecedented attack on the Capitol, the very center of democracy in America. Do you regret now what you said at that speech?
No, I don't. I'd had rallies with over 1 million people, 500,000 people. Before that, it's an information war, Infowars.com. We're in an information war. We were there to have a 10-day investigation of the Constitution. The Democrats have done it before, just a few years before, to look at what was happening. We were there peaceful. And then, Piers, I tried to stop people and did keep thousands.
Well, he wasn't there at all, though. Alex didn't even show up. What is he talking about that they was there? What?
From going into the Capitol, and I've been cleared in the January 6th. Look at the Reuters
just
article on the FBI.
Just to be clear, do you denounce those who used violence that day?
Yes, I denounced Ray Epps telling the congressional committee that he orchestrated the attack, and I tried to stop the provocateurs in that operation from breaking in. We had 1 million people there. They tricked 1,000 or so to go in. A few hundred provocateurs broke through the police, similar to what we're seeing in Brazil. And so I'm on record there that day telling people don't go in the building and trying to stop it. When I say 1776, I'm saying try to take our guns, 1776. Try to take our free speech, 1776. It means political rebellion. It means an awakening. It means saying no.
Has one of the lessons that you've learned from this lawsuit with the Sandy Hook families, has one of the lessons been that actually truth matters? Have you learned that? Do you believe now that you need to focus on saying things which are true because consequences can be very serious?
You keep trying to act like it was a big part of what I've covered or that I made mistakes on purpose. The whole currency I operate in is the truth. And we're accurate 95% of the time. I make big mistakes. And when I make mistakes, we absolutely admit to it. I think you've done that yourself sometime. So here's the deal. Maybe in 10 years, you're still alive, I'm alive, I'm back on. You'll say, will you apologize now? I apologize if I caused any pain. I've already done it. It only makes them more rabid. And
well, apologizing for saying I apologize for causing pain isn't the same thing as acknowledging what you did was wrong. It's more of a passive aggressive, like, oh, sorry if you were offended by what I did. Like, that's one, like, on the level of that. So it's not quite the same.
Attack more and misrepresent. I went on my show during the trial and said, I love you. I think you're real. I'm so sorry for your child. They went on the stand and said, I attacked him that day. That's all on record. And so
the problem is the
political movement.
Alex,
they've raised hundreds of millions of dollars off their dead kids.
The problem is you did make millions of dollars from their dead kids. It's one of the reasons Elon Musk.
I did not.
It's one of the reasons.
It's the reason. No marketing.
It's the reason.
You know what I make millions of dollars off of? My number one book.
It's the reason. Right. The reason Elon Musk has refused to let you back on Twitter is he won't let people on who trade off dead children. That's exactly what you did.
Damn. Even Elon Musk won't I mean, like, what's the excuse now, right-wingers? You guys love Elon Musk. You think he's the greatest guy in the entire world. So what's the excuse now? Even Elon Musk won't let him back on the platform. That's saying something, man. Holy moly.
Madeleine Albright kills 500,000 since she did on purpose. She's good. Alex Jones questions a mass shooting. I get it. I'm the worst guy in the world.
I didn't say that.
Dying corporate media is good. I didn't say that. Alex Jones is bad, but here's the thing. Infowars.com lives. People can come to my show every day, 11 a.m. Central, and they can hear what I'm actually saying, Piers, versus what you're trying to put in my mouth.
Actually, all I'm putting into your mouth are things that have come out of your mouth.
Damn, dude, sounds a little sexual.
You don't have footage of me
Yes.
saying go harass them at their houses. You
I
don't
do,
have
and I
footage
covered
of me
the
saying
Sandy
piss on
Hook.
their
I
graves.
covered the Sandy Hook.
You
tragedy.
don't have any of that. You
And
have
all I
what
know is,
lawyers
Alex,
gave you.
all I know is for all your posturing,
TheTruthInfowars.com.
when those poor families
Don't let Piers
were
mind
going
control
through the
you.
most excruciating pain of
Infowars.com.
their lives, you took a massive amount of fuel and you
we were
poured it on
coming
the
on
bonfire
about other
of their
events.
pain.
What about the
And
Davos
that is the
group?
bottom
What
line
about
with
the
you,
New
Alex.
World Order?
You deliberately
What about
spun a pack of
what about the
lies
global government?
designed to make the
What
families
about
of Sandy
the
Hook
human
suffer
trafficking?
worse pain.
What about the fentanyl?
And that, I'm
No,
afraid,
it's
for all
only
your
Alex
shouting
Jones, only the
and all your
independent. I'm the bad
blather
guy.
is utterly contemptible. And we both,
Hey, you're
I
never
think,
going to
know
get
that.
our First Amendment, and I'm glad you had to move back to England to live under your Islamic takeover, and when they're arresting people for being against transgenderism.
You're once
don't
again
want freedom, Piers.
losing the plot, so now I have to say goodbye. But it's been
Damn, losing the plot. He's really hitting him with some of those he's hitting him with those wacky tacky terms, those little from the TikTok girls. Losing the plot.
Thanks, Alex Jones. I appreciate it.
Then don't be a liar.
Alex Jones, nothing's really changed other than in the last 10 years or so. He carried on exploiting, particularly the families of Sandy Hook, for massive personal financial gain.
Okay.
He systematically tells conspiracy theories, which I know he knows are not true. And he does it because it makes him tons of money, and he's got away with it until now. But now they called his bluff. They sued him.
Oh.
And the families won $1.5 billion. And he may not have that, but we'll have to give a lot of money to them. And that's what Alex Jones is about. He's a guy who spews conspiracy theories to make money and doesn't care about the consequences. And finally, it caught up with him.
Okay. Well, that was an interesting segment. Okay.
I want Papa Gut to pee on my face, but just as a friend. There's nothing weird about that. I want him to pee on my face.